So today's July 9th, Amazon Prime Day has kicked off, and there's some interesting reporting about how it's going for them. Forbes and Bloomberg are already reporting that sales are down 41%. They call the preliminary results grim. According to Momentum Commerce, who is the firm that manages online sales for 50 brands in a variety of products, categories, and price points, Amazon sales plunged 41% today when compared with the start of Prime Day last year. Now, Wall Street is still bullish. They have bumped Amazon stock up 1.5% because they think that Prime sales are going to pick up, especially because Amazon extended their Prime Day from just 1 day to 2 days and now to 4 days. So they don't yet know if there's going to be a drop off in activity or if they're going to recover. But one of the things I think that's really interesting about this is the way that the media is spinning this story. They're saying there are looming concerns of economic shrinkage and the potential for a recession, and that the reduced sales of Amazon are kind of evidence of that. Now, of course, Amazon itself pushed back against this, trying to bluster and be like, no, everything's great. We're so big and we're booming and everything's wonderful, because they don't want their stocks falling today, right? Amazon's statement says, typical of statements made by third-party consultancies that don't have access to the actual data, these numbers are highly inaccurate. If they want you to believe that business is booming, they're really concerned that their stock prices stay up, and they don't want you to think that people aren't buying their products, right? So of course they're going to poo-poo any reporting that says sales are down 41% on the first day. But I really think it's interesting that the response from financial press in particular is that, like, oh, this is a harbinger of like a contraction of the economy. This is elevating our concerns about a recession, instead of like, have you considered that at least some part of this may be because there is a concerted Amazon boycott that the pro-democracy folks around this country are engaged in and have been engaged in for months? I don't know about you, but I'm fucking not ordering anything from Amazon. There's no way I'm going to get on there and buy something from Amazon Prime during Prime Day deals. Millions of Americans are choosing not to purchase from Amazon. Right, I mean, Amazon was one of the first companies to bend the knee and completely scrub their DEI policy after Trump made that like his, initial actions as president to wage an attack against DEI, aka try to institute white supremacy wherever he could. When you see eliminating DEI, please understand that is a euphemism for instituting white supremacy. This is just a good time to remember that the power of the people is greater than the people in power, that you absolutely can make a difference when you withhold your dollars from the economy. And I know that those corporations, they don't want to be sharing that information. They don't want you to feel that you actually have power over them, that they need your dollars. Not only they need your dollars, they need your clicks so they can harvest your data and sell it to third parties. They need your interaction, your attention, your dollars. They need you to buy their stuff that you don't really need. And so you really have all of the power. They don't want you to know that at all. When we're looking at successful resistance against fascist regimes, we have to be adaptive. We have to be changing our tactics and implementing new strategies, trying out new things when something that we've tried in the past has either no longer proved to be effective, right? It's ceased to be effective, or maybe we tried it and it didn't work even from the get-go. We've got to be adaptive and try new things. And I think it's important when we're looking at the fact that the Republicans have demonstrated that they are a fully consolidated party of fascism. They are fully consolidated under Donald Trump. He has strong-armed all of them. They care more about their own seats in Congress, their own power, their own security, their own sustainability under the Trump regime than they do about protecting their constituents, about protecting democracy, even those of them who say that they don't like what Trump is doing and they take issue with it and they know that it's wrong, right? We hear from Democratic electeds, they're like, my Republican colleagues know that what is happening is wrong. Okay, well, they're chicken shit or they're corrupt and they go along with it. So they are all now functionally a party of fascism. So maybe strategies in the past of trying to pressure your Republican electeds, showing up at town halls, shaming them, those are no longer tactics that I think we need to spend as much energy on. I think we should still be pressuring them. We should still let them know, like, your time is up. The midterms are coming, motherfucker, right? We still need to make sure that they face the full consequences. They experience a giant backlash effect for what they have done to all of us. That's all still well and good. But, if I had my druthers, I would lean in harder to some of these other strategies that we have not focused on as much in the past, and especially economic resistance. Now, there's been sustained boycotts against Target, which is really useful, right? Very much spearheaded by Black women entrepreneurs, and the Black community has been incredibly consistent in supporting that boycott. There's now the new Home Depot boycott, as Home Depot is allowing ICE to snatch immigrants from inside their stores. Boycotts have to be organized. Large numbers of people have to participate for long periods of time in order for them to be effective. And we have to have very clear demands. But it's really, really good to remember that you don't have to do a boycott perfectly for it to be effective. If sometimes you cheat and you order something from Amazon, or there's something that you can't find anywhere else and you're like, well, shoot, I got to order this from Amazon, have grace for yourself. Go ahead and forgive yourself for that. Understand that we cannot let perfect be the enemy of good, and that any level of withdrawing your economic support from these corporations that are supporting white supremacy, that are supporting the fascist regime of Donald Trump, that have unethical labor practices, the more you can engage in that work and participate in those boycotts, however fractionally, like that's important, that's worthy work, and you should be doing it. And the more that you do engage in those boycotts, at least I have found, the easier it is to just like not spend your money on anything, to just hold on to your pennies. And instead, if you're going to spend them locally. Buy directly from businesses that uphold your values. Buy directly from small businesses that are being harmed by this regime. Or like just don't buy shit, right? We absolutely, I think, need to get far more organized than we are about economic resistance and what that looks like, how we participate in it, how we leverage our power as Americans by holding back our pennies, and also like choosing not to go on these websites and not give them our searches and not let them be able to harvest our data and sell it, because that is a big portion of their profit, is our data, our behavior online. The more that we can collectively withhold that from them, right? It's not just me, it's not just you, it's millions of us doing it together. We can really fuck these guys up. And if you're like, well, what's the point in that, Angela? What's the end goal there? Well, as I've said many, many times, any autocrat does not hold power by himself. In fact, he's very weak. It is the pillars of support under and around him that prop him up. And corporations are some of those pillars. Businesses that could be taking a stand, could be refusing to comply with what he wants. They could be actively resisting and weakening his power. And instead, we see businesses like Amazon and Lowe's and Target and others, I think like Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Oh, also definitely Walmart, who have immediately folded, withdrawn their DEI policies, harmed their workers who are not white men, harmed all of us, are contributing to the erosion of our democracy. Like, we should be pressuring those folks to become non-compliant. They feel that right now what they're doing, going along with what Trump wants, is more profitable for them. They only care about next quarter's profits. This quarter's profits, next quarter's profits. They only care about dividends for their shareholders. They only care about bonuses for their CEOs. They don't have ethics. In fact, the way we structure corporations in the United States, like, they often can't have ethics. It's often in their bylaws that they must prioritize profit for the shareholders, and they can't do things that undermine their profitability for the shareholders. So that means that they can't necessarily support democracy. They have constrained themselves so that they must do unethical things. That doesn't give them a pass, y'all. That doesn't excuse what they're doing. So if we want them to become non-compliant with the regime, if we want them to withdraw their support and no longer be pillars under Trump, it has to be expensive for them. It has to be no longer profitable for them to support what Trump is doing. See? We got to speak the language that they speak. We got to hit them in the pocketbook. The only language they speak is money. Okay, fine. Then they're not going to get any of ours. We've all got to learn how to not spend money and to clearly communicate our demands to these corporations. I will not purchase from you again as long as you are supporting what Trump is doing. If you want my money, you speak up against this regime and you protect vulnerable people. You work to protect democracy. You contribute to pro-democracy causes. You reinstitute your DEI policies. You stand up against Trump, or you won't see another goddamn dollar of mine again. So gosh, if Amazon is already down 41% today for Amazon Prime Day, how do we keep that going? How do we make sure they're down 41% every day? How do we flex our economic muscle? How do we wield that tool, that weapon in our resistance against fascism?